At this week's Parsha, we are learning a very special, beautiful story. And this is the story of the three guests that came to Avraham Avinu. As we know the story, after circumcised, Hashem came to visit him, and at the same time it came three guests that looked like Arabs, but they were angels. And we know the story that Avraham Avinu went to serve them. And he asked Hashem to wait for him because he wants to do the mitzvah of honoring guests. Even though it's a great mitzvah to be with Hashem, but it shows the great mitzvah of honoring guests, as we'll learn in this expression. A lot of details and stories and beautiful lessons from that story. But one short idea, it says in the Parsha, when he finally, everything is ready after cooking, whatever they had to do to prepare the food for the three people, or three angels as we know, they were eating. Different opinions if they were eating or they looked like they were eating. Let's not get into it right now, but let's assume they were eating. So it says in the Torah, "V'u omed aleim tachat ha'etz." He was standing on top of them, means to say being there while they were eating. And what is the idea that was standing there while they were eating? So Chassidus has a very long explanation about it. A beautiful mimer of the Rebbe. The Rebbe said it in the year Tafshin Yud Gimel, 1952. Beautiful long explanation. And the point is that in order they should be able to eat the spiritual level, in other words, in order the angels should be able to eat, angels don't really eat. In order to should be able to eat food, he had to stand on top of them, and this is, he gave him the energy to be able to eat. In other words, for them to eat, Avraham Avinu had to stand right there. That Chassidus explained that. But it's self-understood, the simple explanation. What is the idea of standing there? And the simple idea is, when people are eating at your home as guests, Avraham Avinu teaches us that he doesn't just give them the food and he goes back to be with Hashem or to do any important things. He stands there the whole time to make sure everything is good, everything is being taken care of, to make sure they're comfortable in the way they're eating. But that's the idea of simply V'u omed aleim. He stands there to make sure that everything is good. And we find later the same idea, that this is the importance of the mitzvah when you have guests. The importance is not just to give them food and go take your book and sit and learn on your own, to be with them, to accompany them, and to take care of them the whole time while they're there with you. We see it also by Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshat Yitro. We're learning over there that Yitro came to visit Moshe Rabbeinu, and there was a whole feast. Aaron and the sons and the Skenim and everybody was eating there with Yitro. And Rashi is asking there, where's Moshe Rabbeinu? How come we don't mention him? So Rashi tells us Moshe Rabbeinu was busy accompanying his guest. So that's why it's not mentioning that he was part of the meal. So in other words, we see Moshe Rabbeinu also. And when you have guests in your house, it's not just there, a guest means achnasat orchim, take him in and serve them. No, be there with them, accompany them, make sure they are comfortable. As I mentioned many times, a great story there is with the first Ger Rebbe. His name was Rabbi Yitzchak Meir, or they called him Rabbi Meir, Alter, last name was Alter. And his father was a very wealthy Jew. He did not live by his father after he got married. He lived by another great tzaddik. I don't want to get into all the details of that story. His mother was really adopted. But the Kashnitzer Magi, they called him then, great tzaddik. And he stayed there after he was married too. But sometimes he would go visit his in-laws, as people do. So when he came to his in-laws, self-understood, his father-in-law was like his greatest thing that he has, his great son-in-law, later to be the first Ger Rebbe. His father-in-law is being a wealthy man, also honorable man, but also a kind person. So he always had a lot of guests. Achnasat orchim by him was the great mitzvah. So at that Shabbos, when the Ger Rebbe is there, Rabbi Shemeir, there's a lot of guests in the house. Rabbi Shemeir, when he's the guest in the house, he gets up and he makes sure to serve everybody and take care everybody's doing well and everybody's eating well and so on and so forth. So finally his father-in-law, he knew the honor of Torah that his son-in-law has. He tells him, you Torah Yid, why don't you sit down, have enough people to serve? He says, my lovely father-in-law, when I have a mitzvah to take care of guests, accompany guests, when do I have it? We finally have it, you want me to give it away to this stranger? I want to do that mitzvah myself. In other words, the message of that story was, when you have guests, you don't just sit down and eat. You want to accompany them, make sure they're doing well. I just want to conclude with a story with the Rebbe himself, our Rebbe. I was with Rebbe's wedding in Warsaw. And the Rebbe says the story, he said in a Fabrengen, that by the wedding, his father-in-law, the previous Rebbe, was Rebbe at that time, he was going around from table to table and giving l'chaim to everybody, accompanying everybody. The Rebbe felt very, very strange. His father-in-law, the Rebbe himself, goes around to accompany people and he sits there at that table, sits like a guest. It didn't feel good. So he wanted to get up and help him. So the Rebbe says a story. His father-in-law said, you sit at your place. The Rebbe said it was very hard for me. I had to listen. I was sitting at my place. And expression, sitting on coals, very, very hard for me to sit there, Rebbe says, but I had to do it. But he was looking around how his father-in-law, by the chasana, by his own wedding, not his father-in-law's wedding, but the Rebbe's wedding, what was the father-in-law that he is hosting the simcha, hosting all the guests, going around from table to table, giving everybody l'chaim, or making sure they enjoy the chasana. The u omed aliyem, this is the message. When you bring guests, be on top of them, accompany them, make sure they're comfortable, they're good. This is what all this great tzaddikim, starting from Avraham Avinu, teach us. Have a great, beautiful Shabbos.